Dr. Elena Vasquez stood before the holographic display in the command center of New Terra Station, her weathered hands tracing the constellation of red dots that marked humanity's latest conquests. 57 star systems in the past decade alone, a rate of expansion that would have been impossible under the restrictive governance of the Galactic Council. Another signal from the Andromedans, ma'am, reported Lieutenant Chan, his voice carrying the familiar mix of excitement and apprehension that came with contact from their former oppressors. They're requesting an audience. Elena's lips curved into a bitter smile. 12 years had passed since the Council's unanimous verdict: humanity was too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous to remain within civilized galactic society. They had been given 72 hours to evacuate all Council territories and retreat to their insignificant corner of the Milky Way. The Council had expected humanity to wither in isolation, to fragment and collapse without access to their advanced technologies and trade networks. They had gravely underestimated the species they sought to contain. "Tell the Andromedans what we told the Zitari last month," Elena said, turning away from the display. "Humanity no longer recognizes the authority of the Galactic Council. Our diplomatic channels run through Earth Prime now." The irony wasn't lost on her. Earth, once considered a backwater planet by galactic standards, had become the beating heart of an empire that now rivaled the ancient powers of the galaxy. When the Council had severed humanity's access to their quantum communication networks and faster-than-light transportation hubs, they had inadvertently forced humanity to develop something far more dangerous: independence. Dr. Marcus Webb, Elena's chief science officer and oldest friend, approached with a data pad clutched in his prosthetic hand. A souvenir from the mining accident that had first sparked his interest in cybernetic enhancement. "The Kepler Forge is reporting ahead of schedule," he announced. "The new quantum tunneling drives are performing at 127% efficiency." Elena nodded, remembering the day they had first conceptualized the project. Banned from using Council-approved Alcubierre drives, human engineers had been forced to think outside the established paradigms. The result was revolutionary: drives that didn't merely bend spacetime but created temporary wormholes through quantum foam, allowing for instantaneous travel across vast distances. "Any word from the frontier expeditions?" she asked. "Captain Rodriguez reports first contact with the Helix Confederation in the Vega sector. They're interested in our terraforming technology." Webb's expression grew serious. "Elena, they're asking about our population control methods." This was the question that haunted every human leader since the Exile. The Galactic Council had branded humanity as a plague species, too fertile, too adaptable, too willing to modify both themselves and their environments to suit their needs. Where other species took millennia to spread across star systems, humans accomplished it in decades. Elena walked to the observation deck, gazing out at the massive construction yards where the newest generation of colony ships took shape. Each vessel carried not just 50,000 settlers, but entire ecosystems preserved in quantum stasis, ready to seed new worlds with Earthborn life. "We tell them the truth," she said finally. "We don't control our expansion because we choose not to. Every exile needs a purpose, Marcus. Ours is to prove that growth and exploration aren't diseases to be cured, but the fundamental drivers of intelligent life." The communication panel chimed with an urgent priority signal. Elena recognized the encryption signature immediately. It was from Admiral Sarah Chen, Marcus's daughter and commander of the Deep Space Reconnaissance Fleet. Her image flickered to life, transmitting from somewhere in the galactic core. "Mother Station, we've made contact with the architects." Elena's breath caught. The architects were legend, the mysterious species that had built the massive ring structures found throughout the galaxy before vanishing without explanation. The Council had declared their ruins off-limits, claiming they were too dangerous for younger species to investigate. "They've been watching us," Sarah continued, her voice filled with wonder. "Watching humanity since before the Exile. They want to meet." Webb leaned forward. "What did they say about the Council's restrictions?" Sarah's laugh carried across the quantum link. "They said the Council never had permission to speak for them. The ruins were never forbidden territory, that was just the Council maintaining their monopoly on ancient technology." Elena felt a familiar surge of the emotion that had driven humanity to the stars: defiant curiosity. Set course for the rendezvous coordinates. Full diplomatic escort. As the transmission ended, Elena reflected on the path that had brought them here. The Council had meant to cage humanity, to force them into compliance through isolation. Instead, they had created something unprecedented, a species united not by shared heritage, but by shared exile. Humanity had not simply survived their banishment, they had used it as fuel for the greatest expansion in their history. Every restriction had become a challenge to overcome, every barrier a puzzle to solve. They had turned their supposed weaknesses into strengths, their chaos into innovation. The stars themselves had become humanity's rebellion against those who would contain them. And now, with the mysterious architects extending an invitation, the next chapter of that rebellion was about to begin. Elena smiled, watching the first ships of the diplomatic fleet power up their quantum tunneling drives. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you try to exile a species whose greatest talent was turning obstacles into opportunities. The exile had ended. The true conquest of the stars was just beginning.